All right. How you guys doing tonight? My name's Mike Redling. I'm a Navionics Marine Specialist here in Florida. Welcome to our webinar, Doggy Style, Walking the Dog to Topwater Success. Just a quick bit of housekeeping. There's a box on the bottom of your screen. If you guys want to ask any questions, Q&A, I'll try to check it periodically throughout the webinar. But if I miss anything, I'll get them at the end. And if I miss them at the end, I've got all your emails. I can email you back. So that's where we'll start. Tonight, I wanted to talk to you about fishing topwater lures. I'm going to try to focus on a couple in particular, the Rapala Skitterwalk and the Storm Chugbug. I chose those two lures because they cover the variety of topwaters. You know, one's a surface lure that works best in that kind of walk the dog fashion or format, and this one, the Chugbug, is a popper, which is obviously pretty different. Before we get rolling, I wanted to thank the Backwater Slam, which is a tournament in Fort Myers, June 24th to 25th, for co-sponsoring the webinar. There are three species. They're going to be snook, redfish, and trout, and that kind of fits into our purposes tonight because I'm going to talk a little bit about how to fish topwater lures. And then we're going to focus a little bit in on Fort Myers using the Navionics web app just to kind of show you some spots that, you know, look like they could be productive. I'm over in Jensen Beach. Fort Myers is the way other side of the state. So we're going to look at the web app, look for some spots that might hold some snook, redfish, and trout. But first thing we're going to do is talk about topwater lures. You know, to me personally, there's nothing more exciting than a big hit coming on a lure just kind of moving its way across the water. You know, you hear the ploop, you hear the big splash, you can see the fish kind of roll and gives you an idea of, you know, how big it is, what kind it is, and it's just one of the most exciting things in fishing. And it doesn't matter if you're fishing bass, if you're fishing, you know, snook in the river, or if you're offshore fishing for yellowfin tuna, just to see the lure kind of move and then just be blown up by something that had been stalking it is pretty cool. As you're probably well aware, there's a bunch of topwater lures to choose from. There's frogs, there's lures that look like little fish, there's mice, you know, there's all kinds of different things to choose from. You know, and all of these lures, the thing they have in common is they swim or they pop. The Skitterwalk is probably one of the most popular topwater lures out there. It's something that, you know, it's a pretty basic lure. It swims. It's got these fantastic hooks on the back. And I don't know if you can hear it, but when it moves, it's got those bearings inside that make the noise. So as it's kind of, you know, this is why it's one of my favorite lures. As it's moving across the water in that V formation, it's making that noise. So not only is it creating a wake, it's kind of creating a little bit of sound for those fish to hear and get their attention. So that's what topwater is all about. It's about getting the attention of the fish. I think the motion that we're looking for is, you know, think of an injured mullet, a mullet that you've had on a hook for a while and you've been casting him for 5 or 10 minutes and, you know, nothing's biting him. He's got a little bit of a bloody nose. You're tired of using it. So you throw him in the water. What does that mullet do? It swims across the top of the water really slowly, and it kind of wanders and wobbles. And that's kind of what you're trying to do with your topwater swimming lures, in that walk the dog fashion. You know, this side, come back to this side, come back to this side, just like a dog walking down the sidewalk, checking out every mailbox and fire hydrant it can find. The other thing about that mullet swimming, it's going to create kind of a V-shaped wake. You can see him coming from 100 yards away. You know, he'll kind of be doing this, and you'll see the wake as they're coming. And then hopefully you'll see the explosion as it gets hit by a snook. But anyway, that's one of the things that I always try to keep in mind, is just like that injured mullet motion as it's moving across the water. To get that, you know, your rod tip is pretty important. You don't want a rod tip that's just going to bend over. You know, you don't want a super flexible tip. You don't want one that's stiff like one of those offshore rods. You know, you want something that's got a little give so that when you're twitching the bait, it's got enough to pull it, but not pull it too far. You know, you just want it to pull it and move it, and then pull it and move it, and that kind of thing. So I went out yesterday just real quick and filmed a video, and hopefully these will give you an idea, if I can find them. Hopefully they'll give you an idea of, you know, the proper motion for a topwater lure. Let's see if I can even get it up here for you. You can kind of see the V wake going back and forth, dodging like that. You can see the motion of the lure. Here, we'll play it again real quick just because it got started kind of late. You can see the wake way in the back. You can see the lure kind of moving back and forth. That's exactly the motion that we are looking for when we're fishing these. And that was obviously a short, quick video just to give you an idea. But you know, if you're doing that for 50 or 60 yards as you're reeling back, that's a pretty big deal. It's you know, that's kind of the ideal motion that I look for when I'm fishing for them. And so there, that's our skidder walk. So speed is a huge thing. We're going to go back again, sorry. Speed, a lot of people when they fish topwater lures think they can just kind of throw them out and bring them in. This is an idea of what not to do, but it was fun doing it. You have no idea how many times I'll be out fishing either on a flat or grass flats or something like that, and I see somebody doing this. And all they're doing is beating the water to a froth, and eventually they're just fishing in a bubble bath. Their fishing's so crazy. So speed is a huge issue, especially when it comes to the swimming topwaters. I'm going to show you the chug bug is a popping lure, and mine just went shooting across the floor. You know, same kind of thing. It's going to swim right on top. Got these cool hooks, but it's got this concave kind of mouth that as you pull it through the water, it's going to shoot water up. What it does is it creates a lot of noise, a lot of weight. And again, you're attracting fish. You're just trying to get fish's attention. You know, they come in this size. This is one we used in Costa Rica and Panama when we were fishing for rooster fish and Cabera snapper, and with a 300-pound swivel, according to the packaging. So yeah, I mean, you can see the difference in sizes. This is a, you know, bass snook lure. This is what you fish for offshore. They come in all different kinds of sizes. They've all got this face right here that when you pull it, it's going to shoot water up and bring attention to itself. Just like the skidder walk, you want a little bit of rhythm and a little bit of speed. You don't want to be chugging it through the water, even though it's called a chug bug. Just kind of slowly move it, let it splash, settle just a tiny little bit, splash again. But rhythm is key. If you've ever seen anything in nature, everything's got rhythm. Fish aren't going to hit something that comes shooting across in front of them. They want something that's going to do this. It's got the same kind of just natural rhythm to it. I can show you real quick the chug bug, what it kind of should look like. You can see it kind of popping. You know, that's probably even a little bit too fast, to be honest with you. But you'll get the idea of, you know, it's making that wake, it's causing a little bit of chaos on top, and it's bringing attention from fish. So that's the idea of a good popper. This is what a bad popper looks like, and this is what I yell at people for doing all the time. Just reel it in, make a lot of noise across the top of the water. It doesn't matter, you know, scare every fish in sight, and that's exactly what you're doing right there. But anyway, so again, when you're fishing these kind of things, just kind of think of the weight that you're creating. Think of like I'm going to go back to that mullet, the injured mullet. Think of that mullet swimming as it's been released back in. kind of making that V wake. You can see it, the fish see it. That's exactly what you're trying to recreate. Now, I mentioned I'm going kind of fast here. I apologize. If anybody has any questions, please enter them in. I mentioned earlier the Backwater Slam was one of the co-sponsors of the webinar, and I was thrilled to have them come in for this webinar in particular because of those three species of fish right there: snook, redfish, and trout. Those are going to be the three target species. They're going to announce a mystery species at the captain's meeting, like a catfish or something like that. But these are the three species that they want to target, and they're three species that will absolutely 100% crush a topwater lure. So it fit in perfectly for this thing. It's just a matter for this webinar. It's just a matter of putting that lure in the right place, in the right manner, and doing the right thing with it. So, okay, so I live in Jensen Beach, which is way on the other side of the state from Fort Myers. What we want to do is go to the web app on Navionics.com. I'm going to kind of zoom in on Fort Myers. Now we know that snook and redfish especially like to be around docks. They want docks, they want some current flow, and places where they can sit and kind of ambush their prey. So going onto the web app, like I said, I'm going to kind of look around, and I'm going to look for points. There's a point right here. It's actually called Redfish Point. How about that? But if you look at it, you know that you're going to have the flow coming out of the river. It's going to come right around Redfish Point. There's those three docks right on the edge, right on the tip of Redfish Point right there. And then there's the big T dock just over from it. So that water is going to come ripping around that corner when it's going out, and I can almost guarantee you there's going to be fish on those docks. Now, to make this even better, we're going to hit the sonar charts button, and you're going to see those contours. What those contours are, those are 1 foot depth differences. So coming around that point, it's a little 1 foot depth, and then it goes to 2 and 3 and 4. It's not real steep, so it doesn't drop off real quick. But what you can see is it's going to kind of funnel the bait right around the corner. There's going to be a little bit of a ledge for those fish to sit in, especially when it goes under the T-dock. There's all kinds of depth under that T-dock. And the fish are going to be able to pound bait. So this is exactly where I would kind of look. I would set up, if the water's flowing out, I would set up to the west of that point, cast up, and bring the lure back against the tide. Same thing. You want to bring the lure back against the tide. The fish are going to sit under those docks facing the tide. They want to see the lure coming at them. So fish so they can see the lure coming back at them. Trout are a little different. Trout are going to want to be out on grass flats. There might be some around the docks, but they're going to mostly be on flats and edges and things like that. So let's go out here to, let's see, how about here? This is Matlacha, I believe, should be. Matlacha Pass National Wildlife Refuge. And you can kind of see right here, there's a little river kind of emptying in. That green part is kind of a spoil. It's a flat, basically. It's going to be showing at low tide. It's going to be covered up with water at high tide. And it's a perfect spot for what we're looking to do for trout because they want to be in the flats. They want to be in an area where there's going to be flow. And if you look at the sonar charts again, you'll see dropping off that flat, maybe, it goes from 1 come on, it goes from 1 to 4 feet pretty quickly, which means that's a pretty good drop. So when you're around this flat at low tide, the water's going to be, or high tide going to low tide, the water's going to be dropping off of there. It's going to be pushing bait, crabs, all kinds of stuff, and the fish are going to sit right in that little trough where it goes from 1 to 4 feet. They're going to be sitting in there waiting for stuff to kind of fall off the top of the flat. And if you look over here, there's a little kind of spoil island. I'm sure that's a little tiny flat that's detached with a trough running through it. And when the water's going out, the water's going to be flowing through that trough, and fish are just going to be sitting all around the inside of that, waiting for something to come out, waiting for, anything they can hit on. So that's kind of what we're going to look for. Again, haven't fished Fort Myers in a while. It's been a long time. But those are the kind of things we're looking for. You can even go over here to where the Caloosahatchee empties out, right over here into St. James Creek. It's going to be pushing bait up against this shoreline all along the eastern side of St. James Creek. It's going to be pushing water up against those. It's going to be pushing bait fish up against those. And you're going to have fish hanging all along these docks right here and in that little cut that goes in. So that's just an idea of what we want to look for when we're fishing somewhere like Fort Myers where we haven't been for a while. That's about all I've got. You know, obviously not everybody's going to Fort Myers, but thanks for hanging in and listening to that. I've got a couple questions I will try to get to. Oh, shit. All right. Can only see the percentages. Okay. It's fine. I apologize for the videos. I'm going to get apparently the videos didn't come through. I will, when we record it, the videos should be recorded and I'll get them out. If not, I'll show you guys the video. I'll get the videos to everybody who's signed into that. I apologize for that. Again, I told you my computer was going to mess up and I guess it did. All right. Again, that's it. That's all I have for you tonight. I apologize if the videos didn't show up on the recording. I will put it together and get it to you so you can see them. Hopefully, you know, you at least understood what I was talking about. You've got my email, and you don't have my email. That is my email, mredling@navionics.com. If you've got any questions at all, and again, I will try to get the video out to you as soon as I can. Please feel free to email me. I apologize for that glitch. Thank you. Have a good night.